Ah, the modest SD card, able to hold so much data and asking so very little in return. Yes, the SD card truly is an amazing thing. For example, an SD card will continue to store the video footage that you recorded on it of an interview with Hunter Shelburne of Weapons Grade Channel for weeks, months. It will even keep your footage safe for over a year if you were to somehow misplace it for that long. But even then, when you finally do stumble onto that long-lost SD card, recovering the footage that you were too embarrassed to tell Hunter that you feared you had lost forever, your data will still be resting safe and sound in the virtual arms of this magnificent magnetic media. And so, it is with belated pleasure that I present to you a conversation between myself and fellow board game bargain hunter, where we discuss tips on thrifting and some of the biggest finds and surprises that we've encountered during our thrifting exploits. At least I think that's what we talk about. Honestly, it's been so long since I lost this footage that I really don't remember what we talked about at all. So let's find out together. Enjoy. Thank you so much, though, for joining me today, Hunter, to talk about thrifting, and I'm glad you're here.
Hi, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, Hunter, you appear to be somewhat of a thrifting mastermind. You go out and you thrift and you find things I can't believe. I go to my local Goodwill, St. Vincent de Paul, and other thrift stores, and I find stacked floor to ceiling, just old copies of Seen It. But you come out with these amazing finds, so I'm here to basically get you to divulge as many of your secrets as I can pry out of you.
I see the Seen It's and the Twilight DVDs and the Donald Trump board games and the Jersey Shore games, as you're so well aware of out there. But I think one of my big deals is I'm persistent. I'm always at the stores. So I'm always there when stuff comes in, and I'm always there when they're putting stuff out, and I see stuff as people are trading it in. I'm targeting people's carts coming in the door at Goodwills and stuff like that, and just saying, okay, that's something I want. That's something, they'll be putting that out in X days. I think I can grab that.
Have you actually gotten it down to know the lag time from when something is donated to when it will appear on the shelf?
Yeah, so it can vary by store, but I tend to know based on if it's a half-price bookstore, I know a particular day when they're going to be stocking a lot of the games. I know bigger trade-in days can happen to be like Saturdays, weekends when people are there. Sometimes knowing just general time periods, like when people are going back to school. I'm in a college town here in San Marcos and up in Austin where I frequent. So I know, back to school time when people are clearing out their kids' rooms and tossing away a bunch of board games.
I noticed that you're walking through these thrift stores with your camera, filming your finds. And especially growing up through high school, doing filming stuff, I had mixed experiences with being welcomed into certain stores with a video camera. Albeit this was, 20 years ago, so the camera was like this big, walking around with it. But have you ever run into any problems with management, filming inside their store?
My policy is it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission, so I start off by just not showing them that there's a camera. Technology makes it a lot easier for me because I can and I've got really big hands, so you'd be surprised how much of a camera fits in here without people seeing it. It is kind of weird when you're holding your hand doing this, like they think you're like a parade queen, float queen, or something like that. But just doing the wave back and forth, no, it's not a camera. It's just I just like waving like that.
We actually have a little bit of similarities and some differences in where we live. I also live in a college town. My college town is 3 times larger than yours, but still, I'm not finding usually what you do. So I'm assuming you must have this flight plan that you go in, or this growing radius. So how far do you travel when you're thrifting?
So I'll hit probably 6, 7, 8 stores at a go, and I'm always looking for just random stuff. If I see some, like a little thrift shop that I've never been to or something, or any oddity store, I'll check those out as well. Sometimes other used bookstores just to see what they have.
Do you find that the different companies, Goodwill versus other places, they have a different quality of stock? Are there certain stores that you always find consistently are better than the others?
Yes, so Goodwill is my scapegoat. I've never found anything at Goodwill. I will keep looking at Goodwill every time because I can't pass it up, because the one time I pass it up is the one time there's going to be something there. But I have not found anything at Goodwill, and every time I walk in, it feels like I'm going to catch a disease. But it's one of those things that hit. Half Price has been amazing for me. I found some really awesome stuff there. Their stuff's not like it's not Goodwill price. Goodwill's pretty much like you're getting stuff for $1, $2, things like that. But Half Price, you're getting stuff for maybe pretty much half off MSRP, maybe less, depending on if you have coupons and whatnot, or if they've mispriced something. And I just started going to Savers, which is another one which is way better than Goodwill. I just started going to that one pretty recently, and I found they actually had an organized board game section, which was nice. They didn't have anything I wanted, but based on what they have, I can kind of tell if it's a store I'll be frequenting. And they had like Cranium in good condition. They had the kind of the Seen It type stuff, but they also had a copy of Risk Battlefield, the one from Target, for like $1.99, and based on the prices, that tells me that I'll like them. I'll definitely be going back to those.
That's another thing that I wanted to ask you about is price, because I'll go into a thrift shop, and there's this mentality that you get when you go into a thrift shop. You'll find a game, new and shrink still, and you're like, $3.99. I'm not paying $3.99 for this. But I've noticed that you actually, in a lot of your big game hunter videos, you'll talk about the prices, and they're a substantial discount from retail price, but they're not the $1.99, 99 cents range that some people might expect. So, what's kind of if someone's going thrifting, what's kind of the ballpark price range that you should expect for secondhand games?
Well, that's a good point, actually, because what you'll see, like, there's a geek list, an ongoing geek list that pops up. I think it's every week, your weekly thrift finds, and you'll see guys getting like these insane deals, like Hero Quest for $2 and things like that. And that's awesome. More power to them. That's a great deal if you can find it. But if I'm looking for games, what my rule of thumb is, it's condition first. So if it's not in good condition, I'm not going to pay as much for it. What I consider a good deal is if I'm getting it for less than what I would be getting it on one of the deeper discount sites. So something like if I'm going on eBay, I usually compare like eBay prices. Some people will look at Amazon. Amazon's okay. Some people look at like Miniature Market, Cool Stuff Inc. Some of the bigger game stores that are like 30% off usually. So those are the ones I've got buying. Like I'm buying an Arkham Horror game for $20 or something like that. I'm not going to pass up a deal like that just because it's not $2.
So it almost sounds like you have a schedule, or at least a regular pattern that you go out. So when you're going out and doing a big game hunt, what percentage of the time do you actually find treasures?
Oh boy. A lot lower percentage than it looks like on the show. For the most part, probably out of a month, I might find a game every 2 weeks or so, just depending on what's out there. And it may not be amazing. I think I don't normally find a ton of stuff, so maybe percentage-wise, probably 25% of the time, maybe 15. 25% is probably about right. But one in every four trips, but maybe not one in every 4 stores. But that's, I'm heading in those directions anyway, so I usually hit the stores regardless. So it's just persistence. I say it's probably 70% persistence, 30% luck. Other people would argue that it's much higher percent of luck because of my finds.
Yeah, some of us would agree with that.
Yeah.
When did you get into thrifting, and how did that compare to when you got into modern board gaming in general?
My first game was full price, Carcassonne. I bought a few games like that Railroad Tycoon back when it was first coming out and things like that. And then one day I found Robo Rally and the Betrayal was like $10, and I found those for $10 each, and I got them. And I was like, wow, these are awesome. I like these games. I probably wouldn't have bought them otherwise because they were cheap. So after that, I kind of felt the bug that I wanted to look for games that were cheaper. I was still building my collection. I was still buying MSRP. And then when I came to college here in San Marcos, I went to Texas State. I got bit hard because I found half price books. It probably took me a year before I found half price books here. And then I finally went in. I didn't know they sold games. I just thought it was books. I thought it was a bookstore. I hadn't really been in a lot of used bookstores in my life. So I went in and I'm like looking around. And I see video games and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, wait, this is not what I thought this was. And then I found, I think it was Arkham Horror there for like $30. I'm like, oh, okay, there's actually good games here. And then I was hooked. At that point, that's where the bug bit me. I was looking for. I started looking for games everywhere. I was looking for thrift games, for games on sale at bigger retailers, Ding and Dent, everything out there I was looking for. So, and then I started revisiting those games, and some of those games that I bought early on that I didn't have a chance to play have become some of my favorite games ever.
What would you say is your number one favorite find that you have gotten through thrifting?
I think it's. I have a copy back here of Civilization, the original Avalon Hill Civilization from, I guess, 1980. I found a copy new in shrink. It had like a little bit of damage to the shrink, but it was like $40, and I had a half off coupon, so I think I got for like $20. It's one of those games though that I probably will not open, so I don't know if I'll keep it forever. I might sell it or something at some point, but I don't sell a ton of games, but it's one of those ones that there's no way I can take that shrink off. I just can't be the guy that does that. I'll leave that up to someone else.
Well, then the other side of the equation, what's the strangest thing that you have ever found?
The strangest thing I've ever found, this is the weirdest one for me, is Fresco, which another great find. I love that game. Fresco became one of my favorites, but I was it was a half price books find, and I opened up the box, and the box just had the insert, and it didn't have any components in the tray, and it was full of dried leaves, like just leaves you got out of somebody's yard. And then I lifted up the tray, and there was more leaves, but all the components were there, and I was just confused. I said, okay, I'm buying it.
Another thing that you've mentioned repeatedly is you'll have oftentimes like a 20% off or half off coupon. And I know for my own local thrift stores, I will get a coupon for a different amount off every time I donate something. So I thought it might be helpful to tell the listeners how to get these coupons. Are you getting your coupons the same way by making a donation, or do they come in the newspaper or something? How do you find those coupons?
It varies. So like right now they're doing a thing where if you trade in a game, or if you trade in anything, books, games, whatever the case may be, you get a 10% off coupon. For if you have like a half price bookstore or one of those type of stores, I'd probably check the paper or sign up for newsletters. I'm on their newsletter. They email me the coupons when they come out. That's when I get the most out of the most bang for my buck, I guess. If I know a sale's coming up and I'm just a day early, because usually they start on a Sunday, I'll go in that Saturday and look around, see if I see anything, and just if there's something there, I'll say, hey, can you hold this for 24 hours? I can pick it up tomorrow. And yeah, they have a 24-hour hold policy. It doesn't really matter if it's on the sale or anything like that. So as long as I tell them to hold it, they'll hold it. And I can come back the next day, pay for it on the sale, and bam, done.
Oh, well, that is an excellent tip. And
yes.
Actually, you've talked about persistence and scheduling, going to a variety of places, working with coupons and holds to maximize the savings. To finish things off, do you have any other tips for anyone who's interested in dabbling in thrifting?
Sure, yeah. If you don't have a thrift store nearby, because that might be an issue, garage sales, really good way of doing it. And garage sales, you can find really cool stuff from the 80s a lot of the times, and early 90s, those games that people really look for, Fireball Islands and your Tornado Rexes and your Loopin' Louis and whatnot. Target will do board game sales, and they sell, if you've been to a Target recently, you might notice they've done a lot more board game in general. They'll have more hobby board games like King of Tokyo, and I found some really great stuff at Target, like $15 X-Wing starters and things along those lines. Like I made out like a bandit on X-Wing products there when they stopped selling those. I think it was last year around this time. If they have overstock, they have a really hard time moving board game overstock. So if a game has 6 or more titles, is my kind of like rule of thumb. If it's got 6 or more titles, I don't buy it. I will wait for it to go on sale, because it almost invariably goes on sale.
Well, thank you. That's going to hopefully help me to get closer catching up with you with the results that you've got, because you're way ahead of me. Unless
I try.
Yeah. So, Hunter, where can we find you on the interwebs?
So I'm at youtube.com/weaponsgrade channel. I'm also, you can find us on the social media stuff at facebook.com/Weapons Grade channel there as well. Twitter, I'm WG Tabletop. And Instagram, I'm WG Tabletop on there as well.
Well, thank you. It's time to say goodbye, so I'll wave with my, there we go. I will talk.
GoPro hand.
I will talk to you again soon, Hunter.
Certainly.
Have a good night.
See you later.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Thank you for joining me today, Hunter. I'm very glad that you're
Sorry,
here.
I think the stream is freezing up on me here. There you go.
Okay.
No, it was, sorry. It was, you were frozen on my side.
Oh, okay. Yes, gotta let it go. Okay.
Okay.